Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Origin, a media literacy project. I'm Susan Kinhofer.
And I'm Mark Francisco.
This week, we continue our coverage of fake news, specifically how these fake headlines affect our society and how we can determine their dissemination.
Last episode, we focused on quizzing people to see if they were able to distinguish the difference between fake news headlines and hard news headlines. This week, we want to bring our attention to how we as individuals can sometimes contribute to the spread of fake news, whether intentional or not.
That's right, Mark. This is an issue that has affected all of us, regardless of our viewpoint in the political spectrum.
It's also something that has no clear-cut answer or solution. According to a Pew Research Center study conducted in 2016, 64% of participants felt that fake news has left Americans greatly confused about basic facts, while only 39% feel very confident in their ability to recognize fake news.
To try to get a clearer picture on the matter, we are now going to turn to Jorge Rosas, reporter on location. He is interviewing several of our community members to see whether the rise of fake news is a real issue or not. Jorge?
Hi, this is Jorge Rosas here live at South Campus, trying to ask the hard questions to see how people determine fake news. So for the first question, when you see headlines on social media, do you read the full article before you determine the validity of the article?
It depends on what the article is and how I'm interested in it, but no matter what the topic is, I always know that in order to get the full context, you have to read the actual article itself.
Yes, I do, because it's difficult enough trying to get the truth out. So I feel like if you're misinformed, it's like double the amount of work trying to get somebody to at least like either believe or, you know what I mean, just inform them, because if you got to have the right information. So yeah, I definitely read the article.
For me, as normally I usually check them just because for sheer curiosity, and I would always look through them a little bit, but unless there was something that actually had real data that I could either check or back up on a different website, or even from something I know from an actual reputable source, I'm not going to really consider it.
The article? Read the entire article?
Yeah.
Honestly, not really.
So do you look at the source of the article when you read one?
All the time, because without a source, like, how do you know who's saying it? That's just it. That's just the...
That's true.
For me, I'd always want to check who my sources are, including even if they make up a fake, like an account, just so they can try and back it up. I'd always want to look into it.
Y'all look at the source.
Yes, I do, because a lot of times it's more based on clickbait. I've seen a lot of stuff that people, they just make headlines. It'll have something to do with it, but it won't be the literal story. It'll be a little piece that they just blew up out of the story. So yeah, definitely pay attention.
Yeah, or probably check on Google too. They have a lot of different sources, and usually if the story is true, it would be on there a lot more detail.
But yes, one thing I usually like to do is see who wrote the article and see what their history is, whether it's a good or bad history, and the topic of the article, like what realm of like genre it's put in. So those are the two things that I think, and also the website, because you have to see what type of website it is, what political stand they're on. Are they more left-leaning? Are they more right-leaning? Are they more skeptic, centrist? Like, those are the things you need to put into account.
Now, do you believe the stories that are shared by loved ones because you trust them?
Not all the time, because most of the time I know who my loved ones are. So it's like you can kind of get like some type of idea where they're coming from. If you know that person, you know their perspective on how they look at things. So it's kind of easy to tell.
Yeah, I think I probably wouldn't believe it, depending on what the story was about, because they could just be resharing what they heard. I would definitely probably check it out on my own.
A lot of the family and close friends I follow, they're great in their own way, but I believe some of their stuff that they actually post and share are a little bit biased, so I'll watch from a distance, but I'm not going to consider it real until I actually look into it.
It depends on the family. Like, all these are depending. I know I'm it's both skeptic and devil's advocate, but it depends on where they stand. You know, not an entire family leans the same way politically. So, but I think that makes it more interesting. So when there's more people leaning on the left or right, it's good to take everything with a grain of salt, but at the same time, like, I think just getting sources from your family is just more of a reason to form your own opinion based off of what you hear.
Do photos also sway your decision when determining if a headline is true or false?
Well, knowing a lot about photos, I know what they can do to make you believe certain things. Just even the way they're like organized, what's in the photo, like the colors even can change your view of what you're reading. So usually I'll go by words only. I may look at a photo if it's interesting, but I won't consider it to be a part of, I'll try my best at least to subconsciously take that out of what I'm reading.
I would say no, because a lot of the times they will just put pictures on there that will catch your eye, but they'll be completely unrelated to the story itself. So the pictures, I kind of just ignore them.
I usually try and consider photos to be a credible source because it's hard to try and downgrade them to what they are, but like he said, they are photoshopped from time just to sort of focus on things that might not even be there, and people will normally take pictures and sort of just plug them into their own articles, and that doesn't always work out in the end either.
Do photos? I mean, I don't think photos sway. I think photos give like a deeper, they help you get a deeper understanding. I feel like just because you can actually see what they're talking about, it gives you like it's more like a visual aid. I feel like photos. So yeah.
Thank you, Jorge. Looking at these interviews, it seems that many think fake news is a real issue, with some individuals contributing to the spread of fake news, whether intentional or not. Unfortunately, this issue may continue to be a problem.
A poll conducted by Morning Consult found 49% of Americans see fake news online at least once a day. So those who feel fake news is not an issue in today's society, you may be reading more fake news headlines than you realize.
That's right, Mark. As I mentioned earlier, there is no easy solution for this, but we hope to provide some guidelines and suggestions for our audience in our next episode.
Thank you for joining us on The Origin, a media literacy project.
Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and on Twitter at OriginFSCJ. I'm Susan Kinhofer.
And I'm Mark Francisco. We hope that you have a wonderful day.